Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you from the healthyamerican.org. You are not going to believe what the EEOC is pushing now. The EEOC, let me know if you know about them in a comment below. That stands for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. This is a federal agency that was created illegitimately, I might add, back in 1964 when there was let's say there was a new law that was passed in our Congress all about your civil rights. And even though I teach people about civil rights, these are really your human rights, your God-given rights, your natural born rights that cannot be taken from you. But because we had a history in this country that apparently still continues in terms of a pattern of discrimination, that there had to be additional laws on the books to prevent people from discriminating against you because of your skin color, because of your gender, one of the two, because of your ethnic background, because of your age, and because of your religion or whatever your religious beliefs are. It does not have to be a formalized religion. I have been teaching people about their civil rights and the laws that protect them over the last few years. And the EEOC is the government agency that was created when the civil rights laws were passed in order to enforce and uphold those rights. So I've been dealing with the EEOC and educating people about their methods and what they're teaching for the last few years. And this is important to you, whether you currently work for a company, whether you are retired, just because you are a healthy American who wants to learn and be aware as to what these government agencies are pushing. So stick with me. I just was flabbergasted when this showed up in my inbox today. I do subscribe to different kinds of, I get things from the Department of Labor. I don't think I'm getting anything from the FBI any longer, but I do get things from the CDC. I get something from Families Fighting Flu because I want to see what the hogwashers are peddling. So right after I bring you a message from the sponsor of this video, I will dive right into that. On over to ketowithpeggy.com. I've been telling you about this, friends, and you've been telling me about it because you've been taking it, enjoying it, and seeing the benefits as well. So there's a new study that reveals a shocking number of Americans are trying to lose weight. And that number may surprise you. Around 52% of Americans are struggling to support healthy weight management. And it's, understandable because managing your weight can be one of the hardest things that we do. But this one small trick of using Keto Elevate could make things easier. I highly recommend taking this amazing keto powder. It's designed to help with healthy weight management. It will elevate your energy and helps to increase mental focus and improve your overall wellness. It works by helping to increase the ketone levels inside your body, which in turn can support your weight management goals. And it does this by promoting healthy appetite management, meaning your cravings will be kept at bay, and also a healthy metabolism so you burn those calories faster. I want you to try it today. Go here, ketowithpeggy.com, and you can get up to 51% off. I want you to use my link and you will get several free bonuses, including free VIP live health and fitness coaching for life and a new e-report titled The Top 14 Ketogenic Foods. You get that absolutely free. There's also a money back guarantee. So just give it a try, ketowithpeggy.com. Friends, let's dive right into the hogwashing that's going on from the EEOC. Now, I will say this. Out of the thousands of people that have watched my free videos, my educational videos, and they've empowered themselves to take this information and learn about their rights, especially at the workplace, in a college setting, and they have stood up against these oppressors. I will say that if I was going to put things in a ranking order, the federal government, believe it or not, is actually playing by the rules. I know that might be stunning to hear. It's the small local governments that were strangling the people, that were pushing these illegal measures, that were sloshing all of these slimy tactics all over them. Normally in the county governments, the city governments, different city agencies like animal control and waste management and water and power, these were the ones that I really heard a lot of stories about, and these employees were really discriminated against. But when it comes to things like the FBI and the IRS and Department of Homeland Security, although I did hear a couple of bad stories there, and these other government agencies and the military, by and large, they have now eased off on this as well. And I personally know men and women in the service who have stood strong, who have used my strategies, my techniques, my teachings, and they are actually getting results. So at the federal level, because the government, it's almost like they're held to a higher standard because they are the federal government and these are laws that pertain to them. And once you put them on notice that you know the shenanigans that they're up to, mainly they will back off, not all of the time, because there are criminals out there, just like there are laws against carjacking, but cars get jacked all the time. So we can't excuse the criminal behavior, but it doesn't mean that you did something wrong. So the EEOC, here, let me explain this just very simply. They're not a law enforcement agency and they don't write the law. They don't create law. But what they do is they are an agency that will investigate claims of discrimination if they determine that it is of public interest. So of course, that leaves that gate wide open for them to determine whether or not they're going to take the case. Before I show you their latest update, I'll just remind everyone that the EEOC has published something called a technical guidance manual. And in my classes that I did with my concierge program and my personal one-on-one, we do a deep dive and we tear apart that technical guidance manual. And we see the law and we learn the law and we apply the law in all of the times when the companies and the government is pushing back, saying, oh no, you don't really have a valid claim and it's a hardship and you're a direct threat. We have an answer for every single one of those things. And it's backed up by the EEOC, because what the EEOC does is it compiles the court rulings. And then based on those court rulings, it will publish guidance. You love that word as much as I do, I'm sure. Just like the CDC publishes guidance. Yes, there never was a law, never can be a law to restrict your breath or require you to become a human pincushion. All of this, these are just illegal measures. These are they're guidelines, and it's almost like a hope and a wish on the part of the government. That was the word that I was looking for, but it certainly is not anything that is required. That's why they use the word mandate, because it actually wasn't a law. I've spoken on that at great length. So the EEOC will interpret these legal cases and they will compile a list of sort of do's and don'ts that companies should follow or not follow in order to make sure that they're not violating the law. So it's almost like they are giving you all of the ins and outs related to what companies can and can't do. There are also local EEOCs or state level EEOCs that also are designed to receive complaints about discrimination, whether it's based on your race, your age, your gender, your ethnic background, your religion. In California, you've got about 20 other protected classes. Basically, everybody's protected except for those of us that are not human pincushions and like to breathe oxygen. We're the ones that aren't protected. And of course, Christians and other people of faith are just being persecuted. And I've seen it with my own eyes. I've also seen a lot of success stories. So I am telling you that the Southwest employees, the airlines, told me that because of my educational videos that the CEO rolled back this requirement to become a human pincushion, and there were other options in place. And that was a major win. Also, Wells Fargo dropped their requirement. And this is long before the EEOC and the CDC, not the EEOC, the CDC and the federal government gave them the go ahead to ease back. This was over a year ago. And also Amtrak was a huge win as well, because I helped Amtrak employees. And one of them came back to me and said, Peggy, the EEOC is going to investigate Amtrak because of the discrimination against me and some of these other fellow engineers. And I said, well, that's fantastic, because there's such clear discrimination. And the government, I mean, Amtrak is a part of the kind of quasi-government agency. They will be held responsible. And after our email exchange, the following day, Amtrak rescinded its requirement for the cooties cocktail. So I'm telling you, it works. Now, there are criminals, so it doesn't work 100% of the time, but the information is valid and people are going to bat and they're standing up for themselves. So with all of that said, here is what the EEOC's latest publication was. And I'm going to share my screen and let me just cue this up for you here. And you'll get it right from the horse's mouth as the expression goes. So here we are. The EEOC releases update to the Cooties technical assistance. And that was a smaller publication that they did specifically focused on Cooties and what companies could do and could not do. Again, this is something that I've read with a fine-tooth comb, and I've helped people understand it as well. So I'll just make this a little larger and I'll point out a couple of the just ridiculous things. Okay. The EEOC addresses the end of the federal Cooties Public Health Emergency Declaration. Today, which is yesterday, the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission issued a number of updates to its Cooties technical assistance, what you should know about Cooties and the ADA, and blah, blah, blah. All right, including adding a new question and answer about the end of the federal declaration of the public health emergency. Here are the key updates, and it's reverse discrimination is what it is. Okay, this first part is very good. The end of the public health emergency does not mean employers can automatically terminate reasonable accommodations that were provided to the, fake circumstances. However, employers may evaluate the accommodations granted during the emergency in consultation with the employee, assess whether there continues to be a need for reasonable accommodation based on individualized circumstances. Let me come back on the screen with you for just a moment because this is great news. What this means is that if you personally were illegally restricted from entering a building, from going to conferences, from having face-to-face meetings. I know there were a lot of salespeople that said, Peggy, I want to see my clients. They want to see me, but my company won't. That is the accommodation since I'm not a pincushion. It's like, you got to be kidding me. That is in direct violation of the law, which states, it's Title VII of the U.S. Civil Rights Act. You cannot be treated any differently because of your religion. Friends, you don't have to have a religion to have a religious exemption. It is your God-given conscience whereby he directs you to keep your body pure. And you can be a Buddhist, an atheist, a Muslim, a Mormon, a Catholic, any denomination or no denomination. And you have a right of no consent to anything that conflicts with your ethics and morals. And so we help people express that in a way in accordance with the law. We don't spoon feed the language, but sometimes it's difficult to express what you really are feeling. So God alone knows the state of your soul. And for these HR companies to come by and say, oh, no, we don't believe you're sincere. Oh, really? Oh, you're going to judge me. Yeah, really ridiculous. So the fact is, in Title VII, it says that you cannot be treated any differently. It's not a difference between pure blood and pincushion. That's never been it. It is about you having the ability to express and observe and practice your religious beliefs, including ethical and moral views, without being discriminated against, coerced, threatened, intimidated, or being treated any differently. Any badge, any label, any you have to sit here, you have to sit there, you don't get to go on the bus, you can't go to the party, it's all illegal. So I hope that you've been studying this along with me over the last few years. I've got thousands of videos over at peggyhall.tv. Not every video is still here on YouTube because they took some of them down. So I have them all archived for you. And of course, there's a lot of free information. If you want my personal help, that's available over at thehealthyamerican.org. So let's get back to this. Now they're saying that if you have been excluded from the workplace, you no longer have to be excluded. But it also says that the employer does not have to end the accommodations. So if you are an employee that was told that you had to work from home, you could not go to the office, you could not go to the Christmas party, you couldn't have patient face-to-face care, now is your time to go to your employer and say, it's over, the accommodations can be over, and you need to stop treating me differently. All right, let's go to the next one. This one, I'm sorry, I don't want to chuckle because being sick is no fun. And I know that people are sick with all sorts of things, but certainly not this because it doesn't exist. So there's no evidence for it. Probably what people are experiencing is illness related to, I don't know, take a guess. I can't even think what it might be. Certainly not a cocktail or some unwanted medical experiment. It could never be related to that whatsoever. But if they're suffering, Here is what the employer should do. They should give them a quiet workplace, use of noise canceling devices, and this is my favorite, uninterrupted work time to address brain fog. Are we back in fourth grade? I'm confused. Are these adults at a workplace earning money? I'm a little confused here. Alternative lighting and reducing glare to address headaches. I'm all in favor of that. Rest breaks to address joint pain. Are you ready for it? Or shortness of breath. Huh. All right. Yeah, now they're concerned about shortness of breath. Well, I'm sure it has nothing whatsoever to do with restricting your breath. That certainly can't be harmful because people were told that it was healthy, that they don't need to exercise and lose weight and stop eating the junk food and stop smoking and stop drinking the sodas and stop doing the Netflix binging and all of that. They should just put on the magic suffocation device and all their problems will be solved. Now, you know, I'm getting a little snarky, and I'm getting snarky for a reason. Number one, the government or your employer does not have any right to tell you what to do. Well, Peggy, it's just like a uniform. They can tell me to wear a hat and a badge. It's exactly the same. You don't breathe through your head. I mean, you breathe through your mouth. You only have, and your nose. There's only 2 airways, and I ain't gonna obstruct them. There's no legal authority for your employer to give you medical advice. You know that this is, the surgical ones are classified by the FDA as a class 2 medical device. So how in the world could my employer or the grocery store clerk give me medical advice that then I have to take and I have no right of refusal? Doesn't make sense. Where did I sign over my power of attorney of medical care to my employer? You better check your contract again. So the whole concept is flawed. Setting aside whether or not it works, it doesn't. It says so right on the box. But setting that aside, it's also a medical experiment. It's never been approved by the FDA for that purpose of preventing cooties. Yet they're telling you to do it. But now suddenly they're all concerned about your shortness of breath. Isn't that lovely? Is that what they call poetic justice? Let's go on, shall we? It gets better. Oh, you need a flexible schedule or telework to address fatigue, but they wouldn't let you do telework when you wanted to stay home from the office. Now suddenly they made you return to the office just because they wanted you to become a pincushion. And removal of marginal functions that involve physical exertion to address the shortness of breath. Many of these are low or no cost accommodations. Well, excuse me, but I had thousands of people telling me that their employer refused to allow them to breathe oxygen because it was a hardship on everyone else. You know, breathing oxygen is deadly. You're a silent assassin and you don't know it. Let's go on, shall we? Suddenly now they want to change their tune. Yeah, I think the EEOC needs to change its tune. For employers, the updates include tips about remaining alert. This, I just can't even stand this. In fact, what I did is I came up with other, let me see if I can find that, because I actually did like a little copy and paste of my own. Here we go. Let me share my screen here. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, let me get this all queued up for you. Here we go. Let me know in a comment below if you were subjected to this kind of harassment and intimidation. Oh, I don't want to share that. I want to share this. All right, here we go. It's the same email, but I just did my own write-up of it. So yes, I put LOL. Now they want to address brain fog and shortness of breath. And this one really got me. For employers, the updates include tips about remaining alert for cooties-related harassment of applicants or employees with a disability. Well, I happen to have one. I can't wear, I've told you this, I have a medical reason. I cannot do the suffocation device because of my condition. It's called breathing. I actually require an unobstructed flow of the appropriate oxygen and other gases into my body the way God designed it. And then I exhale out and I expel all of the carbon dioxide. I thought they didn't want CO2 anymore. Now they want us to increase it in our own lungs. Also, I worship God by breathing. He gave me my God-given breath of life. So that is a part of my religious practice, is breathing. Just like a Muslim would wear a scarf, and a Sikh would wear a turban, and I breathe. That's how I practice my religion. It is illegal to prevent me from doing that at the workplace. But suddenly now, the companies have to be on alert for cooties-related harassment for those who want to continue the facial suffocation device. Are you with me? It was fine for them to harass us, but now you cannot harass them if they want to continue the suffocation. People that have flown told me on the plane that there's an announcement that says, although the suffocation devices are no longer required, please allow, how does it go? Please respect the choices of others if they're suffocating. And I'm like, why couldn't you have done that all those years ago? So it is coming full circle, friends. I had to share this with you and get it off my chest. It's absolutely stunning. There's so much breaking news that I want to cover with you. I might be doing a couple of double headers for the rest of this week, a couple of twofers. And then next week, I'm going to be bringing you more interviews. I brought you one today. I've got a whole series of interviews with very interesting people that are speaking up and speaking out about the so-called end of cooties. They're trying to tell us to put it in the rearview mirror. There's nothing more I would like to do. I'm so over talking about the suffocation devices and so forth, but I am never over talking about the truth, talking about reality, talking about critical thinking and discernment and standing up for what is right. And that's exactly what I seek to do on this channel, while bringing you resources, remedies, opportunities for critical thinking. Like we just dissected this news release. Some people might read it and not even go beyond the first paragraph and not even see the hypocrisy that is there. People are still fighting the EEOC. They've got, what I mean is they are still filing with the EEOC, and they are fighting their employer using this agency to do so. It ain't over till it's over. I will be bringing you more success stories about that because they are out there. And thank you for being out there. I'm always over at thehealthyamerican.org. Signing off for now, friends. I'll see you back tomorrow. I appreciate you being on board. Appreciate the moderators. I'll look forward to seeing your comments and seeing you in the next broadcast.